you're running for 10, 15 seconds, you're probably not burning, that's by zero fat. That's like zero fat calories. Because you're just doing power and speed. So ATP and a few carb calories. You're not burning ATP calories, but you're using ATP to burn calories.
Right. I guess that makes sense. Because you need, what is it, beta oxidation to burn fat, right?
Yep, exactly. That's the first step of it. Yep, I'll teach that tomorrow, that one. Yep. All right, cool. Now we need to know what ATP is. Without that, none of this really makes any sense. Well, it does a little bit, but you still need to know why I keep saying ATP all the time. So I'll show this video, but then there's going to be things in there like, I kind of get it, but some of it I didn't. And that's your job to go home and be more curious and then watch more videos and read more books, whatever it is. That's what I did my whole life, right? I didn't have everyone explain everything to me. I had to read some stuff on my own still, right? And then you come back and you ask me some questions. That's what you got to do.
What is ATP and how is it used during exercise? Stick around and find out. The only form of energy your body can use is in the form of a molecule called ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate. Imagine your body is a car. ATP would be the gasoline you consistently need to keep it running. That is, unless you're driving an electric car. So, whether you're walking up the stairs, going for a jog, or pumping some iron, your body will need ATP to fuel your activity. ATP is a big and heavy molecule, so we cannot carry a huge amount of it around. As a result, it has to be synthesized when we need it, meaning our body has to create it through a combination of different elements. How does our body create ATP? The ATP synthesis can come from either your body burning nutrients when there is oxygen present, which is known as aerobic, or from chemical reactions when there is no oxygen present, which is called anaerobic. The most ATP can be made from fat metabolism, but this process is very slow and therefore not ideal when working at a moderate to higher intensity. To give you an idea, the same amount of glucose and glycogen, which comes from carbohydrates, only provides about a quarter of the ATP compared to the ATP synthesis from fat. While fat is more efficient at creating ATP, burning glucose or glycogen is roughly twice as fast. This is where the fat burning zone idea comes from. At lower intensities, the muscle can resynthesize enough ATP by primarily using fat. But as intensity increases, the rate at which ATP is used also increases.
So you see those at the, does this look familiar for some reason? Where do you see this thing at?
On machines.
Yeah, it's like on the cardio machines. Yeah. So people look at it and they go, they look at it right away and go, wow, I'm going too fast. I better slow down. I'm not trying to be a cardio person, I'm trying to lose fat, that sounds better. Let me slow it down a little bit. They try to match it. So it has the heart rate and the age. And that's a general way of like trying to figure out. So if you're 40 years old, then your heart rate would be like 111. Between that and like 153. If you go up to 153, you're going towards more cardio. So then people go, oh, I need to be more like 111. Because then if I go here, I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to get good at cardio, I'm just trying to burn fat. That's the only reason I'm on the elliptical machine, right? That's what they confuse.
It comes from. At lower intensities, the muscle can resynthesize enough ATP by primarily using fat. But as intensity increases, the rate at which ATP is used also increases. To keep working at the higher intensity, the rate of ATP resynthesis has to match it. This higher intensity will switch the energy turnover from fat towards the use of glucose or glycogen from carbohydrates, which again resynthesizes ATP faster than burning fat, but it's not as efficient. Similar to a hybrid car, when needing to be more efficient, it will use electricity. But when you slam on the pedal, it will use gas to get it moving faster. In this case, fat is the electricity, while glucose and glycogen is the gasoline. Time to wrap it up here. Let's look and compare the two different ways that it's efficient.
So watch that again.
Carbohydrates, which again resynthesizes ATP faster than burning fat, but it's not as efficient. Similar to a hybrid car, when needing to be more efficient, it will use electricity. But when you slam on the pedal, it will use gas to get it moving faster. In this case, fat is the electricity, while glucose and glycogen is the gasoline.
See, because I said earlier, our body kind of prefers to be using fat as energy. Because its fat chains are longer, and they can produce way more ATP. And ATP by itself, and then by glycolysis, it can produce 136 or so. Your book might say something different, studies show different, but they're all close. Sometimes I see 128, but it produces a lot of ATP. So we have endless amounts of energy from fat. We have stored fat. So it doesn't matter if you have low body fat or if you're overweight, like we all have fat, hopefully somewhere. If you don't have any fat, then you don't have any energy, right? So it's taken ATP from fats. It just takes a long time to do it. Which is why it's not great for like throwing this ball over there. It's got to use ATP directly. That's much faster than me breaking fat down, beta oxidation, all that, and then breaking it down, the Krebs cycle, and then, there we go, let me throw the ball now. It's taking too long. So it's good for jogging, it's good for walking and sitting, all that. So that's why it's like electricity, the hybrid cars, electricity is like the fat cells. So, but once you need to accelerate or go faster, it'll take it from the fuel, and then you'll be able to go faster. That's what he's saying. The electricity wouldn't be as efficient that way. And you see that even with the bicycles. They typically, except my freakish 45-mile-an-hour electric bicycle, most of them are not that fast. The electric bicycles are like 20 miles an hour. And the gas ones are always faster when they go farther. The electricity doesn't seem to have enough power. The battery has to be really heavy in order to do it. And then the bike becomes too heavy, it becomes like a motorcycle. Right? So there's more power to get it from carbohydrates, right? So that's what you gotta think of it like that. It's faster, more efficient. And this is the most efficient way, obviously, right?